here, but there's hundreds out there. So we are in no means, by any means, covering near all of them. So always use your maintenance manual to know which products to use on your aircraft, and 99% of these products, unless it's something really old, is going to have really good data from its manufacturer. So go to the manufacturer of the cleaning product, it will tell you how to use it. And we'll talk about safety data sheets also. Yes?
This is a really simple question. Is our maintenance manual and the service manual the same?
Yes. Yeah. Yep, two different names for that. From the aircraft manufacturer that tells you how to use it. Good question. In your textbook on page 8-24, in mine it's left column at the bottom, last paragraph of the left column says, in general, the types of cleaning agents used on aircraft are solvents, emulsion cleaners, soaps, and synthetic detergents. So those you can highlight or star those are the four general classifications of types of cleaning agents. Some terminology you need to be aware of as we talk about these agents and their properties are these three things. So flash point is the temperature to which a material or cleaning solution must be raised for it to ignite, but not continue to burn when a flame is passed over it. So mainly what it specifically means is the temperature, if you heat up a liquid where it starts to give off the vapors, and if you get a flame near those vapors, they combust, ignite. So a high flash point means it needs to heat up really hot, like 200 degrees, before that it will release fumes that will ignite. A low flash point means a very low temperature and it's going to ignite. So around aircraft, do we want something with a high or a low flash point? High flash point. We want really high temperature before it will ignite. So we want it to be over 100 degrees. If we're down the equator, we want it over 150 degrees, whatever, before it ignites. Because if it ignites like at 70 degrees, it's cooler than that in here. I don't know, I could have it sitting here in an open container, and if I happen to light a match, boom, that day. Safety data sheets. Do you remember, Lyle, talking about our system for safety data sheets? Very good. A couple of you. How many of you actually do remember all that he said? Excellent. So I plan to go over all of that. Because I think, was it orientation day or one of the first weeks that he talked about that? And I'm like, me, I don't remember much of anything from orientation day or the first week or two. So this is really important stuff to know. So I'm going to hit it heavy in this class. So the safety data sheet in 2012, I believe, it changed from material safety data sheet, so MSDS, they changed it to just safety data sheets. They dropped the word material because that doesn't really apply. So SDS, safety data sheets, is what we have today. That is from the manufacturer of the chemical. We'll look at what those contain. And then you need to be familiar with the pH scale. Anyone remember this from high school chemistry and do experiments like that? Very fun. It's a measurement of how acidic, or the acidity versus alkalinity of a solution. So you do need to know that 7 is neutral. 7, perfect number, perfectly neutral. However, you need to remember that. 7 is neutral. Maybe from a spring and the top of the Rocky Mountains, you'll get water that's actually neutral. Not in Michigan. Nasty. And then the higher the number is above 7, the more alkaline it gets. And the lower the number, the more acidic it gets. So a curious thing, stomach acid is almost as acidic as battery acid. Whew, you gotta walk around with some hazardous stuff in you. Then we have basic things, so ammonia, bleach, drain cleaner, very alkaline. When we talked about caustic cleaners, the word caustic means any material that eats at another material by chemical action, and caustic can be either a strong acid or a strong alkaline. So getting away from the number 7 on either side, it is caustic and it will eat away at another material through chemical action. Yes.
So if I have a sore stomach, can I rub stomach tablets?
No.
Can I bleach?
Well, can you? You can. You won't be worried about your. You'll have some other things
It'll
to
take
worry
my
about.
mind off of it. It'll go with it.
So let's see. Let me do this first, and then we'll dive into SMAP's website. So OSHA has some really good information on safety data sheets, how to use them, what they contain. So if you ever forget and need a quick reference, OSHA website has some nice information. So on a safety data sheet, they will have 16 sections. So that's something you can tuck away in your memory. You might need to know later. 16 sections on an SDS. Other states are different. In Pennsylvania, when you turn 16, you can drive. So whatever helps you. Section 1 identifies the product, manufacturer, the distributor name. Section 2 identifies the hazards. We're going to look more in depth at what those can be in the next slide. Section 3, composition, so what makes it up. Section 4, very, very important. This is something you will be asked in a testing situation where you can't look anything up. So section 4 is first aid measures. So when you grab a material safety data sheet, I worked in the OR before 2012, and so MSDS is drilled in my head. Just SDS nowadays. So if somebody splashes something in their eyes, and you either run to, does anyone know where we keep our printed hard copy SDS? Yes, right out that door on that wall. So you can run over there, grab it, look it up, and you know, instead of like trying to read through all the sections while this poor person's eyes are burning, you just boom, turn to 4 and see how long they should probably be flushing their eyes. Or if you should induce vomiting or not. So section 4, first aid measures, says symptoms, effects, required treatment. Very important. Section 5, also important, firefighting measures and chemical hazards. Section 6, accidental release measures. So if you have a spill, how do you contain and clean it up? 7, handling and storage. What kind of container should it be in? Section 8, exposure controls, personal protection. So this is really nice. It will tell you, should you be wearing like an entire suit or just eye protection and gloves? What kind of gloves? Section 9, physical chemical properties. 10, stability reactivity. 11, toxicology, that word, information. A little more in-depth from section 4. So routes of exposure, so if you inhale it, what will happen? If you swallow it, what will happen? Chronic effects. And then others, 12, ecological information, disposal considerations, a little more in depth from here, transportation, regulatory, and then 16 is for anything that doesn't fit into any other category. So, which section should you run to if somebody gets it in their eyeball? Very. Very. So, within some of those sections, you will see labels also on the containers themselves. You're going to see these labels. And Kirk is going to Monday talk about a little more in depth about some of these labeling and about the globally harmonized system of classification and labeling of chemicals. So very briefly, because he'll talk all about it, they came up with these symbols, and I forget where it started. We'll talk about that. I think it started in the U.S., but I can't confirm that with my head right now. And they're like, oh, we're going to ship this harmful chemical, hazardous chemical, over to Germany because somebody there needs it, and they like the product that we make. And the transportation people are like, whoa, wait a minute, how are we transporting this? So, the majority of countries got together and said, actually, we should have a universal labeling and symbols that all of us understand, and it means the same thing. So, globally harmonized system. So, anywhere you go that complies with this will have the same symbols. So, health hazard looks like a person with a ruh-roh going on the side. Carcinogenic mutagenicity, a bunch of other stuff. Flame means it's flammable. So nice and simple, straightforward. Some other stuff, exclamation mark means it can be an irritant, skin sensitizer, acute toxicity, narcotic effects, respiratory tract irritant. This little gas cylinder looking thing is a gas cylinder representing gases under pressure. So those have to be handled carefully. This little thing that looks maybe like, I don't know if they're trying to demonstrate what kind of corrosion might they be trying to demonstrate. If it's a transfer electrochemical maybe, I don't know. But that funny little, like here's a little object, there's a little object, and there's a fuzzy wedge going on between, says it's a corrosive product. So if you spill that on aluminum, it's going to corrode, possibly violently, possibly over time. But skin corrosion burns out corrosive metals. This exploding looking thing is an exploding bomb. So for explosive, self-reactive, hopefully none of that anywhere near an airport. Down here, you do have to look at these carefully because this has a circle with a flame above it, different than just the flame. So that's the only really tricky one. And that's an oxidizer. So with oxygen, it's going to get a lot more. Environmental, this is non-mandatory, so not as common. But it's kind of a sad-looking tree, a little mountain, aquatic toxicity, so don't spill it in the water. You shouldn't put any of these in the ground. A skull and crossbones, acute toxicity, fatal or toxic, so very hazardous. And then we have this diamond, and this will be a label on all chemicals, and it has 4 sections that you do need to be familiar with. So the 4 are health hazard, fire hazard, reactivity, and then any specific hazard they need to tell you about that doesn't fit into these 4 categories. So, fire hazard, red, that's pretty obvious. Red is fire. Blue for hazard. If you start to die, you do turn blue. So, yeah, there you go. And then yellow, however you can remember that for reactivity. And then the white is just left over. So, health hazard is numbered 0 through 4. 4 is worse, 4 is bad, deadly. 0 is just normal material, not going to do anything. So 0 is like, nothing happening. And then, so slightly hazardous, hazardous extreme. 4, deadly. Fire hazard, same thing. 0, will not burn up to 4. Flash point below 73. So basically, room temperature, near flame, it'll combust. Reactivity also 0 through 4. 0 means it's stable. 4, it might detonate. And then we have unstable if heated, violent chemical change. So just remember, for all three of those, 4 is very, very bad, whichever category it is. Specific hazard, so this is only a fraction of the things that could go in there. What you'll see around here, very common, acid will be written in there because it is an acid. It could have COR for corrosive, so keep those things far away from any airplane. If you're not supposed to use water with it, a W with a slash through it. But this will have abbreviations or words. If you wonder what that is, where do you think you could go to find that information? SDS. Yep. It will have that. So, here at SMAT, any company or school or any place that has hazardous chemicals, every solution out in the shop now, my water bottle doesn't, but every solution out in the shop must have a label. Every hazardous chemical is required by law to be labeled. So, does anyone know where our labels live? If you are transferring something to another container, which you may do under authorization from an instructor, you must label it. Where do you get a label? Yeah.
Put the NDT, the yellow cabinet right there.
You are correct. So, right on the side of the yellow cabinet, we have a roll of labels. We even have a Sharpie, and we have examples of how to label it. So, all of our most common chemicals that we're transferring to other containers, we have an example to follow, so you don't even have to go to the SDS to look up the information. You just look on this nice paper hanging here and say, oh, MEK, I say the whole chemical name and the abbreviation, where it's from, and then the date that you're putting it in. So, simple, straightforward, you have no excuse not to label. Back to this one. Anyone have any clue what this might be? What solution? What do we know for sure about it? It's an acid and yes, I was gonna say in what way, but that's exactly it. Yep. Extreme danger for what category? Health. So it gonna hurt you. And that is actually phosphoric acid, which we use as a component in some of our chemicals around here. So look for that. Don't be breathing it in, don't be drinking it.
Reactivity and fire hazard is 4. Does that automatically make the health hazard a 4?
Very likely. Very likely. Yep. You'll see some of them kind of follow each other. So yeah, you must label everything. So I have heard in the past, so I have a secret project going on that may not be so secret to some of you, that I'm spraying down with water every now and again, and I have my water bottle out there, spray bottle, labeled water with a proper label. And some people in other past classes have been like, you're labeling water? Ha ha. It's like, ha ha, really? label water. How do you say that?
It's not heavyweight.
So I got like 2.5. Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay, that's better. That's better. Look at this nice water. How many? Well, yeah. Yep, I'll drink that. Very good.
It's not water.
How many say like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do a quick wash on my airplane. I'm gonna just grab this and.
Is that like topping off the battery or? What is?
Yep.
Okay.
So, nice clear liquid. Looks like water.
It looks like water, but pH. pH is super low, right?
Correct. Yep, because it is like 0 or 1 on the pH scale. So this is actually battery acid. Yeah. So, and Kirk, I'm gonna ask him to share it if he doesn't, but he usually shares really great bad stories. Somebody that mixed up chemicals. So, you could easily mix things up, or if somebody, won't happen here, but if somebody would try to sabotage you, hopefully you never end up at a place like that, and swap containers, or if you're just having a rough day and you're really sleepy and you grab something, you think it was water, and it's not labeled, or, yeah, you can end up in a very bad situation. So, never assume it could be deadly to you or to your aircraft. So, you must label spray water bottles that are being used out in the shop so that you know that water is water. And you're not assuming it is if somebody threw in battery acid and forgot to label it. Yeah.
We had a guy at the old shop I worked at who drank isopropyl alcohol. And
Whoa.
yeah, they had to send him to the hospital, pump his stomach.
Like,
What? Someone tried to kill him.
so it was a deliberate.
Yeah, someone tried. They put it in his water bottle. So when he went to drink his out of his water bottle.
Wow. That. So as you go. Yes. Oh wow. Oh. Any other stories of mixed up chemicals? Okay. So a refresher on our SDS system. Does anybody remember where to go to access our safety data sheet forward smash?
On the wall where I left it there before.
Excellent. So, physically, you can run there, grab it. What if you're sitting here at your desk and your instructor asks you to look up a safety data sheet and you're like, man, I just want to sit my copy at my desk. I don't want to go out there. Is there a way to access that?
There's a reference to the portal.
There is. And where do you go to access the portal? Woohoo! Poodle. I'm actually going to show you on mine. Alright. So, on my Moodle, it's on the right-hand side, SDF portal. There is also an well-ventilated area you're using it in. May cause drowsiness or dizziness. So if you start to get sleepy or dizzy using this stuff, get outside, get fresh air. Don't assume it's because you didn't have enough coffee, which has happened in the past. We've had some students like working on stuff using acetone, and they're like, "Man, I didn't get coffee this morning." I'm like, outside with you. Like, do not assume.
Power nap.
So then if you go over to the side, there's that little arrow, and that takes you to the next portion. And then there's some more hazard identification. And what section do I go to if I do splash into my eyes? Section 4. Pay attention to that. Thank you. So then it tells you flush your eyes with plenty of water. And if you inhale it, get the victim to fresh air. And it goes into a bunch more detail. So I'm going to go to the end of section 10. There we go. So this breaks down that diamond into here we have a 2 for health, 3 for flammability, 0 for physical hazards. So yeah, that's another quick reference. I put that in section 16. If you need to label the diamond and you don't have a quick reference, you can come to section 16 and see what labels should go into the diamond. Alright, and then just click out over there and it takes you back. You should, there's like, I believe it's part of the app. If you scan the UPC, it should also bring up the SDS. And then if you find a chemical, now, don't think this will happen, but if you find a chemical that does not have an SDS, you can request and click on that and you can fill out a form and then it's supposed to allow and tell you, oh, we don't have the SDS for the chemical. Any questions on using this system? Okay, very good. Back to the PowerPoint. Oh no, not 50 yet. Okay, forward. So now we are going to dive into the types of cleaning agents, which is back on 8.27, and we're going to start with solvent cleaners. So a solvent, the broad category, that is a substance that is able to dissolve certain chemicals. So super useful cleaning product if you want to dissolve chemicals like greasy stuff, grimy stuff off your airplane. A solvent is a very useful product. And actually, water is a very mild solvent. If you put it on like a baking sheet, it'll start to dissolve some of that. Also loosen it up so it fits into some other categories. But there are certain chemicals that will dissolve with water. Like salts. We can dissolve salts. And alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, is a solvent for many materials that can't be dissolved by water. So isopropyl alcohol, super useful. Generally speaking, any solvent used in aviation must have a flash point at or above 105 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's in your book on page 8-27. That would be a nice temperature to put a little star by, highlight. Easy to come back to if you are quizzed on it. An open book quiz.
The 105 you said?
Yep. Yeah. So, and this is generally speaking. I think AC 4313 might have a range that it gives. not be using it, or be very careful, because it is non-flammable, so some people like it for that, but very, very toxic. And it's non-flammable, but if exposed to a flame, it will turn into mustard gas. So, will kill you. Yes.
So don't weld on something you just cleaned with fluorinated brake cleaner.
Correct. Yes.
Let's not do that.
I don't know if you've heard of like household cleaners, like never ever mix bleach and ammonia, because that will turn into a chlorinated solvent. And there's stories of people that are cleaning a bathroom, something's really dirty, and they put those together and they die. Yeah. Don't do that. And then carbon tetrachloride is another substance that is wreaks havoc on your nervous system, internal organs, so don't use that. We have way safer stuff that cleans really good nowadays. So these are older things. Don't use them around airplanes. And always use proper PPE, personal protective equipment. Know what chemical you're working with, know how hazardous it is, how much eye protection, you need a full face shield, what type of gloves. Are you aware of the nice chart out by the gloves about the gloves? So Lyle put up a chart, what gloves should be worn for what chemical. And it's on the white cabinet right where the gloves are. Very useful. Very, very useful. So, some types of solvents, again, we're not going to cover near all of them, but there is a dry cleaning solvent, so no water, this is just this solvent. It is petroleum based, and of dry cleaning solvents, Stoddard solvent, your book says, is the most common. It removes grease and oil, however, it does leave its own residue. So, if you're going to be painting after this, make sure you're reading the painting instructions, because it may be compatible with this, or it may not be. You might have to use another type of solvent. So, always read your product manufacturer's information. And we're going to talk a little bit later about mineral spirits, but Stoddard solvent is a specific type of mineral spirits. Mineral spirits is like a broad umbrella category. Funny story from Dean. Oh, the door is open. So Dean told a story when they were in Nuevo. Don't do this, but somebody that he worked with or knew about used Stoddard solvent as a weed killer, and they found out that it kills everything except carrots.
Oh. Don't eat those carrots.
Don't eat those carrots.
Where in Nuevo is this? I live in Nuevo.
You should ask Dean. Two other solvents that you do need to be familiar with, and prepware and other testing is going to try to confuse you. So do not be confused. Be familiar. So there are two types of naphtha, and one is aliphatic naphtha. Ali is your friend. Aliphatic. You use it to wipe down already clean surfaces before painting, so final wipe down, prep for paint. It is safe on acrylics and rubber. Now, be very, very careful. Do not use it on or in an aircraft because the flash point is 80 degrees. So, if you have a part you're taking off the aircraft in a well-ventilated room with a fire extinguisher, nice and cool, you can use it, but do not use it on the aircraft. But it works well. VMNP, varnish makers and painters solvent, pretty common. What aromatic naphtha. Does anybody actually like the smell of mothballs? Okay, so I think mothballs stink. I hear there's people that enjoy the smell. Yeah. So, if you think aromatic, it is a bad one. It's very toxic. It will attack acrylics and rubber. And it's a component in fuels and mothballs. So if you think of the aroma of mothballs as aromatic naphtha, mothballs are stinky. Aromatic naphtha stinks because it's toxic. If that helps. It's a great adhesive remover. So if you have some, and you have parts not anywhere near an airplane, nowhere near acrylic and rubber, you have good PPE on, and you have a well-ventilated area, you can use it. But generally, think of it as bad. Do not use. Definitely not anywhere near an actual aircraft. Oh, here we go. And don't get them confused. So make sure you keep them separate because they will ask you and they will say, they're using aromatic naphtha on the airplane. Is this a good choice? No. Bad. Alright, take a break and come back at 8 o'clock.
So aromatic is always bad, because it attacks stuff.
Correct. Yeah. Can you use it carefully in the right situation? Yes.
Maybe
But
more
there's lots
controlled environment.
Right. There's better stuff out there.
Right.
That does just as good of a job.
Oh, it smells like mothballs.
It shouldn't be. I think in the olden days they used it because there wasn't better stuff to use. So it's still in the textbook, still in AC 4313. Actually, is it in the new AC 43? I know it's in the textbook.
fit 3 shots.
Yeah, I know. You're a car mechanic.
But they're not gonna like
man.
move it
I
across
hate
the
cars.
like take land.
Airplanes are cooler,
For sure.
You have to
pay better. My brother just got his. I'm not
certain ones like
legally.
those, they
I
just
should
jump
never
all
touch a
the
car.
time.
My brother just got his like dealership certification.
Yeah.
You can kind of choose.
He's making less than I made at a quick position.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
And how they
It's-
relate to
oh,
the kingdom.
Yeah,
So
you just can't take a crowbar to flame tires.
Well, there's still is.
Skewer.
So basically they'll start off.
Well, when it comes to tires,
Some real bad corrosion.
You can make a new one.
got a
So
point.
you can make.
Do you want it to fly again?
That goes to the rules.
Just hit it with a hammer.
But you can have, I think up to 2
So like some
and
areas,
you send them out in there.
Stop it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with a rubber mallet. With all the rubber missing.
Game one.
There's a lot of rubber missing. Oh no.
There are special
large amount of
cities,
force.
ski locations that you can go to.
I tapped it.
We have one of those like Harbor Freight orange mallets, the dead blows, with all the rubber's gone in it.
Oh no.
But we have it zip tied together, so it's like a rubber mallet with zip tie.
So that way you go to one of the
Oh no.
centers, you can put materials that are say on this side of the water.
It's really good for rotors.
Oh.
You could charge tolls.
Have you ever?
Or
Oh, wait, that's right. Wait, did you drive it today?
I mean, it could be, it's safe over my friend.
Good drive.
Right, and just because, like, if you think you want to be a pilot, like, or mission at all, like, call them and say, like, they tell you to call them and say, hey, I have no training, I want to be a pilot, right, and they'll lay it out for you, like, real fast. So I literally.
So basically, let them pick one territory to start in, and then they all get slowly, just influence on the remainder.
You figure it out.
We give a lot of certain popular points every year. Based on percentage that you do. And that way you can get the
Trying to remember.
today,
The explorers are basically, you can send them. Yesterday.
They require to get
But it's still.
actually never like have higher requirements for experience.
Basically, explore and game.
I never wanted to eat
gummy bears for
pretty
1 month.
much an airline pilot. Yeah.
That's usually how it is. Also, try to come up with a good system.
That's why you want to
I would have never guessed.
I'm trying to stop chewing my nose. So it's
That's good. That's very good.
also, this is water. There's just really good water bottle.
It's mislabeled.
Actually, this one's energy drink, this one's water.
Fair.
And tomorrow I'll have to like gamble which one's mine.
Right. And then you're like, oh, water or, oh yeah, energy. Energy. Gummy bears.
I could sit there.
I would, yes. Mm.
So like, explore.
Found the gummy bears.
They're on sale at the Lehigh gas station.
Uh-oh.
I bought them. I go there for. You could use it to actually explore. Because one of the flavor tracks, guys that if they water is meant to
Christina, where'd you say this is on?
my brother's neighbors, it's like
Probably 9.
I bet it's like one below stomach acid.
so battery.
Well, like the other one. But basically.
We should, we kind of hashed out this.
Should.
He's like, I bet you bring it again, all the energy drinks, which one's the free day? And then if you put that against the water, some rain, ride on that. So you just
He gets to do the
Put my
consequences.
phone on silent.
Wow. Wow. I'll come up with the consequences later. You can worry about it for the next time. So, we have cleaning agents that are much better, much safer, work well, and very funny thing is, one of them is called safety solvent. So these are just a couple of random ones I picked that seem to be more common in shops. We don't have this one, I don't think. We'll get different ones in our cabinet. So safety solvent, manufacturers will call it different things. This one calls it quick clean, but underneath it does say safety solvent and degreaser. It's made from trichloroethane, and it's made for general cleaning and grease removal. It is non-flammable. However, if you get it near open flames, which you should never have any open flames around an aircraft. However, it will produce phosgene gas, which is chloroform. So, you're too eager for that. So that was a choking agent in World War I. Gives pulmonary edema and heart failure. So, careful with it. Even though it's safety, it still has dangerous effects. Yeah.
Is this all for, a dry cleaning?
No, all solvents.
All
So
solvents?
dry cleaning or dry cleaning is one type of solvent.
Okay.
Now we're moving into some.
This, you can use this instead of soap?
No. Soap is a different category. So solvent is a category of cleaners.
Yeah.
Soap is, because solvents will dissolve stuff. Good question. Soap is you so.
Yeah, we're just getting a lot of, lengthy terms here,
Right.
a lot of different, like, how in-depth are we gonna have to go to submitting all this, memory?
When I say make sure you know this, make sure, or you will be tested on aromatic naphtha. Write that down. Well, this is just for your general information. You do not have to memorize this at all. Just understand these are made from different things. And, yeah, the trichloroethane is safer, however, produces phosgene gas. So what you need to know is safety solvent, yeah, it's safe, great to use, keep it away from open flame, because it makes deadly gas. Don't have to know the gas. That's just like,
It's a reaction.
yep, yep. But they want us to teach this information so you're aware of it. Don't memorize. Then, woohoo, MEK, methyl, ethyl, ketone, and also acetone. And you may be aware, these do produce potent fumes. So, make sure you use good ventilation. Have doors open, fans going, so you're not breathing this in. It is toxic if it's inhaled. I think some of you have already inhaled it a little too much. He missed it, he totally missed it. It's fine. Very important to know, MEK flash point is 24 degrees Fahrenheit. Oh,
Wow.
so,
Very low.
yes. So as you use it, make sure no flame, no spark, no possibility of any fire. Have a fire extinguisher nearby when you're using MEK. So just be aware of that. Huh.
So solvents used on aircraft supposed to have a flash point above 105. So does
Correct.
that mean MEK is not supposed to be used on aircraft?
Correct. So this should not be anywhere near the actual aircraft. Now, can you take apart all of the aircraft? Can you take engine parts or whatever off and take it to a safe, well-ventilated room with a fire extinguisher and use MEK? Absolutely. Because what it does do very well. But do not use it on. Now, will people do that? Mm-hmm. Should you? kind of a unique thing about it. Acetone is really good for cleaning fabric of grease and oil. So you'll be using that in fabric class. Generally, it's been replaced with things that are safer to handle and more environmentally friendly. However, there are times when you've got to use the tough stuff because nothing else will take off whatever you're trying to clean. Yeah.
I think I must be misunderstanding the definition of last point, based off the fact that we have MEK and we're in this not combusting right now. It is not, it is above 24 degrees Fahrenheit.
So,
Is that a, yeah,
if I open up the container and it's gonna, at 24 degrees, going to start to release fumes, which, have you used MEK yet? So those of you that have, as you open the container, do you start to smell anything?
Smells great.
You do eventually, because it's starting to release fumes at 24 degrees. And those fumes, if you take a flame over it, will combust. So that's why when you're using it, good ventilation, like have the doors open, good ventilation to get those fumes out and dissipated, and also no flame anywhere nearby. Because it's not like it's just gonna boom on its own. But if you have a flame, it will burn.
What if you brought it outside in the winter? Would it still give off fumes or no?
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, wait. You mean like below 24? No. They shouldn't. Now, it might start, like, some will maybe release, but it won't be flammable. It won't come off. Yeah. Good
I
question.
guess, part of it, is it the liquid that needs to be under 24, or is it the air that needs to be under 24 in order for it to not give off the flammable fumes?
Both, I would say. Yeah.
When would it freeze then?
That's a very good question. I don't know. You should look that up. At break time. Alright, moving along. Gotta move so we can get to washing aircraft. Kerosene is actually a good solvent. It will soften heavy preservative coatings. It's used for general cleaning. It does need rinsed because it will leave a film. However, it's flammable, fire hazard. So there have been graduates that have gone to GA shops that they use this stuff like water because it works well. But you gotta be careful that you don't set your airplane on fire. It's used for engine washdown. Some shops will make no, be careful, like us, like, you're using mineral spirits, that's safe. So, after you get out of here, you might see some stuff that, that's not very safe, or very good for the environment. But, yeah, don't drink the water. Yeah.
You say it's used for engine washdown? That sounds very dangerous.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I do not recommend that. But, yeah, mineral spirits, nice and safe. Still don't breathe the fumes of mineral spirits. We'll talk about that. Actually, there you go. So mineral spirits, widely used. That's what is in our parts washer. By the way, you may not be aware of this because our mineral spirits coming out of the parts washer have been used, reprocessed, are kind of brown and dirty. Clean, brand new mineral spirits is clear, like water. So, that's my biggest step there. So yeah, that clean mineral spirits, like water, so don't mix it up. Make sure you label it in another container. It's a because those fumes can also hurt you. Questions on that? Oxygen systems, you're going to talk more about when Ryan teaches on them. However, you do need to know that there is a special cleaning compound for oxygen systems. Typically it will contain ethyl alcohol or isopropyl alcohol. It must be anhydrous. Anybody have any idea what anhydrous might mean? It means it cannot contain water. No water, because what could happen if you get some droplets of water in your oxygen system, and then you go up to 12,000 feet.
Ice.
You get ice, and now you get no oxygen. You'll be sad, but not for long. That was really dark. Anyway, so make sure as you're cleaning, you do not get any fluids into the tanks or the regulators. So you spray the stuff on a rag, and then wipe down the mask, wipe the outside of the hoses, clean it off. Very important that you do not have any oil. It doesn't leave an oily film. Anyone know what happens with oil and oxygen in high concentrations? It will explode. It will combust. Also, not dry at all. And yeah, we'll go into that much more detail in other classes. But just know you need special cleaning compounds for oxygen systems. Any questions on solvents? And basically what does a solvent do? Dissolve. Very good. Solvents dissolve. So next one is emulsion cleaners. So these loosen dirt, grease, oxides, carbon deposits. So it can be used for the same thing, but the way it acts is it loosens up the dirt and then holds it in suspension so it can be washed off. So it's not dissolving stuff, it's just loosening stuff. You can have, now stuff starts to overlap. So the emulsion cleaner will typically be a high concentration, and you mix it with either water or you can mix it with a solvent. So then you're dissolving stuff and loosening stuff and floating it away. So you're doing multiple things for more hard to get places. And your water emulsion will have a specific mil spec. You can look that up, go to the manufacturer, see what you need. Solvent emulsion is good for heavy deposits, and you do need, whatever type you use, read the manufacturer's instructions, because you could damage a finish if you're not using it properly. So always go to the manufacturer's instructions. I won't go through the rest of that. You don't really need to know all that. Then there are soaps and detergent cleaners, just very mild stuff, very safe stuff. So if you don't need really hard grit and grind to get off, soap, really good to use. And what is really great mild soap? I talked about yesterday. Dawn. Yep. These are just two others that are common. One is just called a cleaning compound for aircraft surfaces, and they don't have super fancy names. It just goes by various mil spec numbers. Used for general cleaning. The differences between type 1 and type 2, one is for paint, one is for unpainted surfaces. So make sure you're going to the manufacturer's information and seeing which one should be used for your application. Non-ionic detergent cleaners, again, there's water soluble or oil soluble you would use with a solvent. Very similar to emulsion cleaner. Simple Green, common one that people like. You might see a little more strong of a don't need to memorize their names, just be aware that, oh, non-ionic cleaning compound, those are salts. Any question on those?
Why does it boil?
That's an excellent question. I'm wondering if the stuff itself is green? that is an excellent question.
Maybe to differentiate from the green, this regular simple green is green.
Oh yeah, this is extreme simple green.
Oh,
So regular simple green might be green.
okay, we can take that.
Also, the photograph sometimes colors not accurate. So, apart from all of those solutions, you may need to use mechanical cleaning methods. So that means elbow grease. Don't know what that is? I'll be glad to have you demonstrate it for me.
Oh my god.
So, use these with care. So these are, we have mild abrasive and then more abrasive stuff. But sandpaper, Scotch-Brite that you're taking, and you are scrubbing a surface. So, I didn't grab my example. I'm going to talk about this a lot more in sheet metal class, and maybe more later when we talk about specific corrosion removal. But I have had people on the corrosion projects, which you will not do because I'm talking to you about it, that take Scotch-Brite pad and pack it to a power tool and go, now. I love Kiki's reaction. That's wonderful. She's like, are there situations where you may need to do that? Yes, very much so. Should that always be your first go-to? Just no. Especially, probably tomorrow I'll show you, give you some examples. I'll just leave you with a cliffhanger for now. I'll talk more about that later. You can, though, remove too much material, and then you're getting a new part, which is not good. But, so mild abrasives, non-woven abrasive pads, otherwise known as Scotch-Brite. And did you know there's different colors of Scotch-Brite?
No.
Does anyone know what the different colors mean?
Different red.
Yes, different levels of abrasiveness. Pretty cool. Light gray, I think, is the least abrasive, and maybe the green is most abrasive. Yeah. And then red's in the middle. There's powdered pumice. That's good for corroded aluminum. Impregnated cotton wadding. Good for exhaust stains. They don't tell you what solution is in it. It's special manufacturer's magic formula that they do not share with you. They just tell you what to use it for. With Scotch-Brite or sandpaper, we're going to talk about, be very careful that generally you get a brand new piece. If it's a piece you have already used, know what you used on it. Don't be using it on steel and then be using it on aluminum. Otherwise, what are you introducing? Dissimilar metals. And then it's going to corrode. Thanks to you. Ooh. Some more mechanical cleaning materials. Aluminum metal polish. It's metal. Aluminum wool. Do you know where aluminum wool comes from?
Aluminum sheep.
Aluminum sheep. Steel wool sheep are really mean. Lacquer rubbing compound. Something else you can use on exhaust residue. Aluminum wool is if you have really nasty corrosion going on for cleaning aluminum. Metal polish. Keep an untainted aluminum nice and polished. Be a little careful with aluminum wool because it can get aggressive. Make sure you're not thinning down your material. Sandpaper. Double check from the manufacturer that it is good kind for aluminum. You don't want any sharp abrasive corrosive, so the right sandpaper for your material. Aluminum oxide sandpaper is great for aluminum. Carborundum. And I think this is still a prep-aware question. They like to ask you about carborundum. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. It's bad. That's all you need to know about carborundum. Bad. Why it's bad? Grain structure is very sharp and kind of brittle, so the grains can break off and bury themselves in your material, even in steel surfaces, and allow paths for corrosion. So, not for aviation uses. When you are using chemical cleaners, especially acidic stuff, we'll talk about this tomorrow, I believe, with removing corrosion, be very careful. Generally, if you're using something, a chemical cleaner other than mild soap, you're going to take it, remove the part if you can, and clean it in a safe area. Wash it, dry it, take it back to the aircraft. If it's on the aircraft, really make sure you're getting all of that cleaner removed and rinsed and dried. Because entrapped caustic cleaner, chemical cleaners, will be aggressively corrosive. So they may clean off the bad stuff, but then they're going to start corroding the aluminum or other material. Because a lot of them have soluble salts from the chemical surface treatment. Chromic acid, we'll talk about that tomorrow. So as it dries, it leaves behind the salt, and the salt just nom 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 nom. So here, a Chinook was on a flying exercise. It says 1992. The aircraft experienced partial loss of control, and the aircraft began spinning. The aircraft impacted the ground, but remained upright. And while the aircraft was destroyed, the occupants escaped with their lives. The subsequent investigation suspected the cause of the accident was a fastener failure in the upper boost actuator due to hydrogen embrittlement from an unknown cause. However, we know that using unapproved or inappropriate cleaning fluids on aviation products can cause hydrogen embrittlement, corrosion, and other serious defects. So you are asked some questions about hydrogen embrittlement, so I'll just share a little bit of how it reacts so you can kind of understand the process. So it is a form of stress corrosion cracking. What you do need to know for testing is that chemical cleaners can cause hydrogen embrittlement. It's not other stuff. Chemical cleaners cause hydrogen embrittlement. But what happens is there is a reaction with the chemicals that, so the reaction of the metal with the chemicals produces hydrogen in here, so the little hydrogen atoms kind of leach into the metal, little cracks develop, and then they start to produce debris which works into these cracks, and that reaction causes a loss of ductility. Anyone know what ductility is? Yeah, flexibility or bendiness. So now it's supposed to be able to flex at natural and normal. It can't do that. So instead of flexing, it does what? Cracks. Bam. And now cracking allows what to come in? And moisture leads to what? Yes. So now we have it corroding. So we got, now it's most common in high strength steel. So high strength steel, just the way it's made, the atoms in it is very susceptible to hydrogen embrittlement, the way all the ions, the atoms act. So susceptible material plus a chemical that produces hydrogen plus stress leads to hydrogen embrittlement. Yeah.
So we've got a chemical, it somehow imparts hydrogen atoms to the surface.
the chemical reacting with the material.
Okay, pulls essentially hydrogen atoms out of the chemical, puts it onto the surface.
And it's going down into cracks. So it's below the surface.
It's putting it into.
Yeah, which is why it loses its ductility. 'Cause it's going internal, and now it's not ductile and trapped. And there are lots of other things that cause this, but right here, chemical process of chemical cleaner causing hydrogen embrittlement. Any questions on that? You don't need to know the process. I just went over it so you can kind of understand the theory behind it. But just know chemical cleaners under the right or bad circumstances can cause hydrogen embrittlement if you don't clean them as properly. Some other chemical cleaners, and with all this stuff, make sure you are using your proper PPE. Look on the bottle. If it doesn't say on the bottle itself, where would you go to know what PPE? SDS. Phosphoric citric acid. We're going to use a form of phosphoric acid to clean corrosion off our aluminum. Used for cleaning aluminum. Be aware there's two types, and if you would forget, you could just go to the manufacturer. Type 1 is a mixture ready to use, or there's a type 2 that's the concentrate, and then you have to dilute it with water or mineral spirits or whatever the manufacturer says. And with acidic things, make sure you know or have some baking soda nearby. If you splash it on yourself, wash it off, wash it with some baking soda to help neutralize that acid. If you have, so baking soda neutralizes acid, what if you have, let's say, NiCad battery? Correct. You need something acidic. So, if you are working with NiCad batteries that are not sealed, keep lemon juice handy for your skin to wash it off, or your eyes, to help neutralize that. Yeah.
If you use baking soda to neutralize, so that spills some battery acid on me, right?
Right.
Would I wash with water first? Would we sprinkle it on the arm? Would we make like a little paste first? What's the best?
Little paste, grab the SDS, see what it says.
Okay.
Rinse it all the worst off, and
Yeah.
then paste,
Okay.
smear on, grab the SDS, see what else. So, with all these chemicals and things, you need to keep in mind fire prevention, fire protection. Protecting ourselves from fire, not protecting the fire. So, detergents and soaps, not going to be flammable. However, only use a necessary amount. Don't be taking the soapy solution and just sopping it into the seats, because the fabric and seats on aircraft have to be fire retardant, and sometimes that fire retardant fabric has special salts in it that is part of the fire retardant substance. So if you get it way too wet and soppy, it might leach out those salts, and now it's no longer as fire retardant. So with aircraft interior fabric, you need to go to the fabric manufacturer, hopefully your employer has that super handy, to know what solutions are safe to use and in what amounts. Alkaline cleaners, generally they're going to be water soluble. Make sure you're using a water soluble type. Acid solutions, keep them mild. Water-based is best. Deodorizing and disinfecting things for the inside of the cabin. Double check with the manufacturer that it is actually non-flammable. Abrasives like Scotch-Brite sandpaper, unless you're using it on a power tool, then you have too much friction. That could be a thing. But the abrasive itself, with your elbow grease, no fire hazard. but generally not going to be flammable. And we want, what is kind of the magic number generally for how high we want our flash point? 105. Yep. So yeah, we want, and here, I think this one was from AC 4313, generally above 100 degrees, high flash point, solvent, stable. Anything below 100 is not for aircraft cleaning. That means not on the aircraft, in the aircraft. You need to take that part to a safe place. If you are mixing liquids, be cautious because they may have different evaporation rates. So if one evaporates and the other is still there and has a lower flash point, now you may have a problem. So just be cautious. And use approved containers whenever you are transferring a liquid to something else. Where would you find what an approved container would be? The SDF. Very good. Then always use proper ventilation. Don't activate the fire system. The foaming fire system. Oh no. That stuff's really corrosive. So they lost all those airplanes.
It's like clouds.
Very bad, yeah. No open flame or sparks, which should not be around any aircraft anyway. If you need electrical equipment, it must be approved, properly grounded. Don't be operating aircraft switches when you're cleaning inside the aircraft because you could accidentally have a spark. Make sure you're using suitable warning signs. So, slippery floor. These products are in use. Do not be smoking your cigarette. Hopefully you wouldn't anyway. Anywhere near an aircraft.
What? The cigarette later in the 172.
Make sure you have an appropriate fire extinguisher, which around aircraft, what would that be?
CO2.
CO2. Yep. Because any other, like a dry chem, is going to be corrosive.
culture like that.
Yeah, I think I would.
When the guy that owns a Subaru tells you that.
California be like that.
No, come on. I'm not a good boss. Lived there for like 2 years and all of a sudden I was going to California.
Yeah, dude, it's a contamination, bro.
It is, dude. You know, I wish I wasn't. I wish I wasn't.
Somebody did it, but.
Yeah, and I haven't had an issue with that. Dude, don't. At the very bottom.
Oh, yeah, well,
All right, let's
It's possible.
talk about the lab. So first of all, I'm going to show you a couple examples of things. So we have this nice acrylic polish sealant, and just to show you, now, where would you go if you wondered about health hazards or proper containment? Yes, yes. However, on the back of this, and you may not know it, but there's lots of really good information. There's directions on how to use it, shake well, danger, and look at those little thingies. What does that little thingy mean? And what does the little exclamation mark mean? It can hurt you. But yeah, there's sensitivities. Don't get on your skin, all that stuff. So often on the manufacturers, on their product containers, they will put some of that information as well, which is very handy. And then, where would you go to know what to use on the aircraft? The maintenance manual, service manual. And typically, and you're going to be doing this in just a minute, it's going to be in the servicing chapter, whether that happens to be chapter 1 or 2, or if it's chapter 12, because this one is an old manual. You'll look for the servicing section, and it'll tell you, now this is kind of hilarious. I don't know, somebody probably did this, and that's why they had to put this in here. Do not use gasoline, alcohol, benzene, acetone, carbon, tetrachloride, fire extinguisher fluid, de-icer fluid, lacquer thinner, or glass window cleaning spray for windshields and window cleaners. So this is about the windscreen. We're going to talk about this more in non-metallic when we talk about plexiglass. Like glass window cleaning sprays that you use like around here on the glass windows. Very bad for aircraft plexiglass. But yeah, the fire extinguisher fluid cracks it up. But then they say mild soap or detergent and dishwashing type without abrasives. What is that, do you think? Dawn. Yep. Here they talk about aliphatic naphtha. This is an older manual. Turtle wax. I'd have to look that up. I don't know what that is. And then using a soft cloth. So it tells you, gives you really good detail on what to use. And I just picked windshields because that's kind of fun. Then gives you windshield cleaning procedures, waxing and polishing. So when you go to the manual, look through it. There's really good information in this. This is from the 172 manual, a manual that you will not be looking at because I'm assigning you other aircraft. So I opened up Lab 2 aircraft cleaning and Lab 2 Part 2 aircraft cleaning. So just Lab 2 is going to have 21 questions, and down with the airflow, not wax on, wax off. If you don't know that reference.
So you said with the airflow, but across the side of an aircraft, the airflow is going to be going that way.
Correct. So side windows aren't as important because that's not the primary, pilot's primary vision. But yes, you do want to go like that.
Side to side.
Either side to side or up and down on side windows. Yep.
'Cause-
But windscreen definitely
Yep.
up and down. And then this little chart you'll fill out and then submit it. Back to here. So not a lot you need to do in Moodle for part 2. However, I'm going to talk to you a bit about what my expectations are. So you're going to be divided into 4 groups on 4 separate aircraft. And each group will have a little cart like this. So initially I'll assign your groups and you're going to briefly look up in your maintenance manual what it recommends for cleaning, which they are going to say mild soap and water. But you each will have Dawn dish soap. Now, I give you each a whole bottle, so you each have your own bottle. But
Use all.
Use all of it.
when you go to put it into your bucket, which everybody has 2 buckets, take it and go psst, just about like that. It's gonna suds up. I've had years where people go and half of this is gone and they have suds going everywhere and we're wasting soap, but it's way too sudsy. Do not do that. Just up. You can always add more. Can't take it out. These, not that one. This one, little short, stubby, stiff brushes are for wheel wells. They're stiff. Do not use them anywhere else. Only wheel wells. We did kind of wash some of them, so they're not super dirty anymore, but they are for dirty wheel wells. And then you have these nice long soft brushes. Those are for the fuselage. And to reach up high, get it nice and sudsy, gently scrub it. Those of you that will be on the beach jet and even the 414, you may need ladders, even with the brush. So please use them safely. Make sure the area is not wet and slippery. And you're going to have plenty of people in your group, so I would like whoever's on the ladder to have a spotter with them at the ladder, because people are cleaning, they're running around, they might not be looking and could run into the ladder. Also, if you're up and cleaning, you could unintentionally become a little unstable. So if you're on a ladder, trust somebody at the bottom stabilizing it. We have a bunch of rags. Use these judiciously, is that the word I want? Rinse it, keep using the rag until it becomes absolutely unusable, because we have a bunch of them, but we also have a limited quantity. So use it till it can't be used anymore. And make sure you save some of the nice ones for the windscreen. So keep some separate, very clean, you can use for the windscreen once the rest of the aircraft is washed.
Not correct.
Correct.
Yeah.
What do you think this stuff's for? Covering up any ports and new openings. So you'll put this over the opening itself and then tape around it. And you're going to leave a nice flag on it so you can see it when you're done. I'm going to assign group leaders. Group leaders are responsible to document what is being flagged and making sure all of those flags are removed, because Anna and I will be looking at the end once you tell us you are completely finished. If there's flags remaining, you get marked down. Let's see, what else did I want to talk about? We only have one hose, so share. Be nice. But you mainly wash it down, then suds it, then rinse it off. And these brushes, I gave each group a cart so you could put your brush on the cart. If for some reason you have to lay it on the ground, make sure you're laying it brush side up. If you plop it on the ground like that, guess what? You're grinding dirt into your nice, clean aircraft. Do not do that. You'll get marked down.
That's fair.
So, you are going to be graded, as always, on safety, professionalism. So if I see or I see people intentionally spraying one another or a little suspicious of an accident, you will get marked down severely. And yeah, be super safe with the ladders, spotting each other for that. Be professional. I want you to enjoy your time washing, but be professional. You're adults. So here are the groups. So for the beach jet, and we are going to keep it inside, because kind of like when I go wild washing dishes, I end up mopping my floor. So we have the banquet coming up on Saturday. We're going to be giving tours. So we want the beach jet nice and shiny. If we push it out, we won't have room for the other aircraft we're washing, and some won't get totally washed. We used to have the beach jet sitting where it sat out, tied down, and the hose would only reach the one side. Only half of it would get washed. So this way we'll be able to wash the whole thing. So you use the hose somewhat sparingly. And then we have squeegees, and we'll take some mops and buckets out there that you're going to have 10 people in the group. So some people, you can rotate, can be squeegeeing out the hangar, and then the hangar floor can get nice and clean for the banquet. So, beach jet, Shane, you'll be group leader. And then I have James, Tiki, Ava, Jonathan, Matthew, Zachary, Clayton, Mike, Grant. So hopefully all pick that up for the beach jet. The 414 is going to be Cheddar, and we're going to have your group pull it forward, so hopefully the hose can reach most of it. So your first task will be pull it forward to the hangar. So Cheddar, and then Job, Corbin, Israel, Amanda, Ryden, Randall, Christian, Sam, and Jed for the 414. And your group, Beach Jet and 414, will probably need ladders. Beach Jet for sure. Then the other two aircraft we're going to do is the 182. And Jordan, you'll be group leader for the 182. And with you will be Caleb, David, Nathan, and Marcy. Then the other one is the Cherokee. Thomas, I have you as group leader for the Cherokee, and you'll probably, yes, actually, you will, pull it out of the grass so we don't have, there's going to be suds running into the grass, but we'll try. And it'll be closer for the hose as well. Coordinate with Cheddar, let him pull the 414 forward, and then you'll know how much room you have to kind of make room for each other. So with you will be Isaiah, Kurt, Carter, and Geese. Any questions on what group? So before you run out there, you have 5 minutes to do a quick look up. So Shane's group, look at the Beach Jet manual quickly, see what it says about cleaning. Cheddar's group, look at the 414. That's a 1971 414. Look at that manual quickly. Jordan's group, the 182 is a 1959 182. Just quickly look what that says. And then the Cherokee, the PA 28 140 1968. So just take like 5 minutes.
Can you say my group again?
Yeah.
Isaiah?
Yep. Kurt, Carter, and Geese.
Oh, Kurt, Carter, and Geese.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I have a cart, and your carts are label to look. This one says 182. So 182 group can take this cart and then out there, make sure you look, because I have the longer brushes on the beach jet.
Clear, Christina, we're just washing, not polishing, is that right?
Correct. So yes, you'll just be doing Dawn dish soap for the whole aircraft. I'll try to be around for the beach jet people, because there's some spots in the engine cowl that are kind of nasty, and because we want it free for the banquet, we might find some better solution for that. Yeah.
For 414, he wants to pull it, or we're gonna have
Just, you have 10 people, so you can just pull it. Unless Anna wants to run the tug. You can ask her. Yeah.
Do all engine covers, come off, and pitot tube, et cetera, covers come off with the beach jet?
You can leave them on to cover those